Hello everyone, and welcome to the Shakespearean Shrew. I am your Shakespearean Shrew, Karen Finer, lover of all things bard. This podcast is a decorum be damned entrance into understanding Shakespeare's stages, for there are many, and all the players on it. I am at the Mermaid Tavern at OSB, talking with actor Paxton Kliewer. We've been trying to track you down forever. We're so excited you're here.
It's taken
a
long time. That's like absolutely my fault too.
We're just excited. We've been fangirling about you for like months.
Oh, I don't even know how to begin to react to that. But other than to say, ooh, wow, that's amazing.
Did you listen to the Aaron Woods podcast?
I've listened to most of it. I listened to most of it on my way out and about.
Did you turn it off when we started fangirling about you?
I don't think I made it that far. I've listened to the episode with Joshua Murray, and also the episode with Dylan Raspberry earlier in the summer.
Yes, the ones for so that was Macbeth, and then for
Hamlet, yes.
Because you've been in both of those.
Yes,
in addition to Twelfth Night, to Midsummer Night's Dream. We were trying to think of what else we have had the opportunity to see you in, but every time we see you in something, we're all very excited about it.
It's been the whole season this year.
Yeah.
The whole season this season, which is a huge blessing.
And it has been, I mean, for us too. We love it. Like, we saw you in the Christmas Cracker, and I was like, woo!
Yeah. I've never done... Christmas Cracker has been what they do it every year. Mm-hmm. And it's always just like been floating around in the periphery. And I've always been like, that looks like so much fun. But I don't really know anything about Jane Austen, so like everyone that's so passionate about this, they should probably have their go at this. But this year I was like, let's go for the whole thing. And yeah, it's been phenomenal, and like learning the dances and working with the cast. Like, it's a very young cast. They're all like students they're not all, but a majority students at OCU. A lot of life. And
yes.
Like, I think just excitement about live performance that I think is really cool to be around.
And I got to talk to Austin's ingenues, and I was like, how many of you are 21? And I was like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's the same age Jane Austen was when she wrote Pride and Prejudice, so you know.
Mm-hmm. Who else could get into the mind better?
Right?
And then
right?
Of course.
So, because our Lizzie Bennett just turned 21.
She kind of, that's nuts.
It doesn't just feel great to feel old.
Yeah, that's a oh man. I'm of my friends that I immediately hang out with. I'm 27 years old. But yeah, no, but that's the thing, is like all of my friends, I can't say anything. I played like two-hand touch football with some of my friends yesterday. I woke up this morning feeling stiff. I felt like I couldn't say anything because I knew that everyone would be like, okay, old, like whatever.
Oh, just wait till you're 40.
I can't wait.
Then you'll just whine all the time. Oh my god, I can't get out of bed. It's cold, my joints hurt.
Then maybe it'll be a little bit more warranted then. Maybe people won't drag me so much for it at that point.
Now I'm allowed to feel old. Why? Because I am.
Yeah, right.
So, what brought you to the realm of acting? Because if I'm honest, it almost feels like it's just kind of who you are at this point. Is that has it been always what you wanted to do?
So it's a funny story, because like I grew up. My grandfather was a preacher, and I think he was also like the funniest. His name was Floyd Johnson. He's like the funniest man that I ever knew in my entire life. And I think, honestly, I do attribute part of me wanting to be an actor to seeing him stand up in front of a congregation on Sunday and everyone listening to what he had to say. Because and his demeanor would completely change, right? You know, because he's a big, affable, funny guy, and then he gets in the pulpit and he was like, now this is serious. And everyone listens, and it's like, whoa. How did he do that? And I remember talking to my mom and being like, that's nuts. Like, that's not even the same guy anymore. But obviously it was. And then, so like I knew that there was some sort of a magic to, performance and to being up in front of people and getting them to listen to you from a young age. And then I got a little bit older, and I was in the 6th grade, and there was a drama class at Western Oaks Middle School in Bethany, Oklahoma, and I was like, well, that sounds fun, and it seems like it's probably a blow-off, so like, I'll do that. And then the 7th grade came, and I was like, I'll do that again. That was fun last year, and it was really low stakes, like both of those classes. We would watch like My Fair Lady, and we'd talk about, sometimes we would do scenes, but we would do them just in a normal classroom. There wasn't even like a stage or anything. And then in the 8th grade, that is when the drama class puts on a play. And I made the conscious decision in my brain, I was like, I've done this for 2 years now, but I don't think I want to do the 3rd year because I don't want to be in the play. My sister had been in the play 3 years before me. She had done Aladdin Jr. Thank you, you're the best. But yeah, my sister had been in Aladdin Jr. 3 years before. It didn't seem like it would be my thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. The drama teacher came to me like before the first semester of that year ended and just says like, well, Paxton, you're the only boy in the 8th grade who's done drama for 2 years in a row. So you're going to be in the play. And I said, that sounds like a nightmare. I don't think I want to do it for like A, B, C, and D reasons. That sounds like I don't want to do it. And she says, okay, cool. I won't. We won't do it. You're fine. That 2nd semester starts and I'm in drama class, like fully enrolled in drama class against my wishes. And she makes us all audition for the play, obviously. And I had always thought that I had been able to sing a little bit, but I got the lead in that like first musical in the 8th grade, and we did Honk Jr. And it was so super fun. The main character's name is Ugly.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like a super rad thing for all of your friends to call you when you're in the 8th grade. But it was a blast, obviously. And I remember being so against it and so terrified of doing it. It just shows like my vanity. Pretty much up until like I was like the lead, and like we were in rehearsal, and I was like, wait a second. We get to sing all these songs, and like I get to like dance around and like be up on the stage, and like this is kind of like that magic, right? Like that thing that I realized a couple years ago. And like I had watched a little bit of like stand-up comedy at that point too in my life, but it was just like that was the first experience of like me actually doing it and seeing like, oh, this is really really neat, and I never want to stop doing it. And you just never do.
You just never did.
And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Ended up going to the University of Oklahoma, Hallmark School of Drama.
Boomer Sooner.
Love it so much. And graduated in 2020 with my Bachelor of Fine Arts with it's drama with an emphasis in acting. And yeah, I've been working pretty consistently since then, especially like in this last year, kind of like we talked about. It's been a lot of stuff here. It's been really awesome. It's been because like the other side of that of never wanting to quit is like, I don't know, like I've never had to quit. I've always been like lucky enough that I've been like, when you get discouraged, it's always like, but there's something else. Like there's always something else, and there's always other things, which is important to remember.
Yeah, you've been in a lot of projects this year. How do you decide which projects you're going to audition for, which projects you're gonna choose to be part of?
Well, I have this dartboard, and like I just like put like all of the for this year, a lot of the time, I'm represented by Magna Talent Agency. I don't know if I can say that or not, but shout out. They're great. So sometimes they've gotten me a few things. Like last year, I got to do there's a Polar Express ride in Oklahoma City at the Railway Museum.
Yeah,
and it's so much fun and so magical. So like that, I got that gig through Magna, and that one was just kind of. It really seems like a lot of the time it's if I have time and the opportunity presents itself. I'm kind of, you get to a point eventually where hopefully you start to be able to be like a little bit picky and stuff. But like, I'm not really there. But like, fortunately, I've been able to really, I don't know, sort of find a home like at Oklahoma Shakespeare, like especially like these last 2 years. Like I've been working here since 2019, I think was the first time. But yeah, like I kind of came to a point, I don't know, just around sometime last year. I really fell in love with performing Shakespeare when I was in college, and this is the place that I really like to perform Shakespeare. This is a place that is so near to my home, and in my home city, where I grew up. We're right off of 23rd Street on the east side of town. I grew up off of 23rd Street on the west side of town. So like I feel like I'm down the street from my house performing Shakespeare, which is
you're literally home.
Yeah, which is and I'm doing like a style of acting that I love profusely. So like it's that is a huge blessing that just this place is around, and it was kind of a match made in heaven in that sort of way. For me.
And again, for us too. So what makes Shakespeare so special for you? Mm-hmm. What do you love about performing Shakespeare versus other kinds of theater?
Yeah. So like, I think what makes me love Shakespeare first and foremost is that I think there are these characters and there are these themes that are so, like, that are throughout Shakespeare, that are just so pervasive in our culture and our understanding of storytelling that you don't go very far in Shakespeare and you find a character that you may not like. Just something that came to my mind is like Don John in Much Ado About Nothing. I got to play him last summer, and it was kind of like I knew Much Ado About Nothing, but I wasn't like super duper familiar. But like I get back into it and I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, he does the I am a plain dealing villain.
Yes.
And I was like, I read this monologue in preparation, obviously, and I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, cool. I think after reading this monologue, I understand who he is, and like how much of that is just because like this character is such an archetype that like we understand so well that like it then becomes not a mold, but something that you then build upon and then create, right? And that is something that is so interesting that like everybody can approach these characters. 10 different people can approach Don John, yes, or Hamlet or Macbeth, and you'll get 10 different versions of that character because everyone has a different experience. And because like these stories also lend themselves to being able to be taken out of the context where they were necessarily written, and like that is so cool. It's cool that like we can perform these classical pieces like we did this summer where you do Cowboy Macbeth, mm-hmm, and like that is crazy and like really cool,
and it works so well.
Like I was thinking about this earlier today because I was thinking about what we would talk about today. But in college, I did this one performance. In my Departures from Realism class, I did a scene from Macbeth where we were in like a linoleum room, like a linoleum tile floor, and I have everyone sit in a room, and me and the woman playing Lady Macbeth, they're just like in little like desk chairs, whatever, or plastic chairs, mm-hmm, and everyone's sitting in a circle. We walk into the center of the circle, we pour buckets of blood on each other's heads, and then we perform a scene of Macbeth holding each other in a puddle of blood. And that was insane. And my professor loved it. So like, and that is so the same like style of theater that technically is the same as like the very lovey and very flowery, for lack of a better word, version of Twelfth Night that we just did, which was first and foremost a love story and was very sweet and was very nice. So like there's it is just such a cool medium for theater in general. And then like in the actual technical aspect of it, you know, iambic pentameter is such a fun like world to operate inside. And I know that everyone kind of has differing opinions. Go.
It's true. Some people are very afraid.
And I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that you know, kind of disagree with me on the importance of sticking to, not necessarily sticking to iambic pentameter, but iambic pentameter in general. I personally, it was taught to me very, very hard, like kind of like the backbone of like everything else that you're doing in character creation. And that doesn't mean that you have to strictly perform it, but that means that it needs to be the basis of everything to me.
Yeah.
So that when you do go away from it, it is a conscious choice, right? And like you think about, you know, people saying that Pollock can't paint because like he's, you know, just splashing paint on a canvas. But in reality, he is operating in a world, and the same with like Mark Rothko, like he's not doing anything. He's just, you know, making this giant red and black wall. But in reality, he is operating and he's breaking these rules, and he is doing something that is, he has to understand so well the medium that he's operating in, with which, or before he can start to do the other things.
You have to know the rules before you can break the rules.
Exactly. And I think that that is, to me, that is very important. And because to me, it was something that, shout out to Dr. Judith Midget-Pender, if you're listening to that. It was something that like she was my the first Shakespeare professor at OU. And that was, I really think, one of the first big breakthrough moments that I had in my acting education of being like, oh, this is starting to make sense. I'm starting to be able to connect to these guys. And one of the things that she would always say in performing Shakespeare, and it still sticks in my brain all the time when I'm, especially like these famous ones, like Laertes, like, you know, just happened.
Yes.
She was like, no matter what Shakespeare piece you're doing, someone is going to be in the audience and they are going to have every single word memorized. And that may not be true. But like you kind of always need to be operating like that is the case, because like someone does, and like it may not mean anything at all, but to me, I always want to be able to like leave the theater and know that like if someone knew every word, or if someone was following along in their script, which has happened. Don't think that I didn't see you, guy on the front row of Hamlet.
Oh my god, I love it.
Calling that guy out. I hope he's watching so bad. Not upset. I'm just like, that was wild. That was so, we all talked about it backstage. We were all like, was that guy really? It was scary. No hate, no slander. It's just, it was funny to me. But yeah, like, so like also sometimes it does happen. And so sometimes you need to be like really, really dotting your I's.
Oh my gosh. That's what, I mean, I admit with, you know, Titania's The Fairyland Owns Not the Child of Me, I'm always like right there with it. I'm like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the language is so important because, like you said, it's the backbone, it's the structure that allows everything else the ability to change up and do whatever it needs to do, as long as you have that structure in place. Yeah. Because I've had some really fun conversations with, you know, Charles, who does all of the like subtitles and everything for Seoul, Korea, their Shakespeare company. And so talking to him was really fun because I was like, how does it translate?
Yeah.
And he's like, it doesn't. Right? He's like, they speak, his actors, he's like, they speak in English and I put subtitles on to give it like the basic understanding of the joke so that people can get the humor. And he's like, but the funny thing is sometimes the people who are reading the subtitles are the ones who get the jokes because the people who are listening to the English, they're the ones struggling with the iambic pentameter and the language. And I was like, that's fair, that happens here too.
It was something, it's something that I think it was Ian McKellen said, where he was like, some people will tell you to like always mind the pentameter, and then you'll find the sense. And I think that, I mean, as much as I just said that, you know, pay attention to the pentameter.
Yeah.
I do think that, but what he would say is that always find the sense within the pentameter. And that was kind of, you know, like what I meant a second ago with the, like, it doesn't mean that you need to be super strict about it, because people, I think if you're looking for truth in performance and honesty of emotion, that you can't necessarily always do that. And then also, like, there are intentional spaces in Shakespeare where, you know, you'll have elongated words, ambitious, you know, which in the word ambitious, like what does it change? Like, what does it mean? And like, it adds just that little bit more of like, I'm really gonna get all you guys, my friends and Romans and countrymen, really, I'm gonna get them on my side, because I'm gonna, like, that one extra syllable. So like, also, you know, the trocation of lines is, there's an endless world of decision making that is already made for you if you just like dig into that world, and it really opens up the inner life and the inner thinking of some of these guys when you do that, because it is, you know, pentameter is heartbeat, and it is their heart, and it is their mind, it is their emotion as they are going through this, and that is, you know, super duper important to follow. Which also, I have, this is a perfect segue into the gift that I have for you.
Oh.
If this is a good time.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, so I'm kind of notorious for this, to give, or to have, here, I can get the string. This is a brand new yo-yo, so the string is super in there. Well, maybe not, but here's that, I'll let you play with it. But I am very,
Michelle, do you have nails? Proof true.
Everything to like long enough to get the thing out of there. But I have mine as well. This one's already out. But I'm kind of the yo-yo guy, known as. I got to yo-yo on stage in Hamlet, which was very exciting for me. Because this is a little bit of behind the scenes, how the sausage gets made, guys. I have asked every director that I've had this year if I could, except for Dylan Banquotion, who's been yo-yoing. But there has been a conversation with every one of my directors this year about whether or not the character should be yo-yoing, and up until my actor character in Hamlet, the answer was always no, and it was Tyler's idea. I didn't even have to ask, so that's huge for me. But I talked about, she listens, Dr. Judith Fidget Fender. I love you, Dr. Fender. She had this one technique that we would use in acting class, in Shakespeare class in particular, where we would use a bouncy ball. And I can't actually recall if we would bounce the ball on the stressed syllable and catch it on the unstressed. I remember doing it a lot, and I remember thinking it was a great technique, but it just never worked. Yeah. Physicalizing it for me, because that was what it was about. It was like physicalizing the iambic pentameter and like really feeling it out. So at some point in college, they were giving out free yo-yos on campus, and I got one. And someone was like, oh, if you have like a little physical thing that you do when you memorize your lines, it'll help you. So I started doing it. And then it turned into me just like reading and like yo-yoing for like hours on end. I want to say I got pretty good at it, and then I stopped. Last year on the Polar Express, I was, you know, kind of confined to these little spaces where I had to be standing around, not doing anything for a long time, and I started yo-yoing again. And then I connected this little thing for me where I can do that little exercise that I learned from Dr. Pender with this yo-yo. So the way that I try to mark it is my unstressed syllables will be a down yo, and then the pull up is going to be the stressed syllable. So the only monologue that I have like super in my mind right now that's an iambic pentameter is Berowne from Love's Labour's Lost, and I'll do the first couple of lines.
Yes.
It'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm not.
You can stand if you can.
Okay,
if
perfect.
You want to.
All right, where should I stand?
Probably like back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. It's like, and I, forsooth, in love, I that have been love's whip, a very beadle to a humorous sigh, a critic, nay, a night watch constable, a domineering pedant to the boy, than whom no mortal so magnificent. So that's it. And it's so. Thank you so much. And obviously, the sense of that is not really all the way there, obviously, but that is kind of the gist of that, of like really feeling that iambic pentameter and getting it into you. Like, I feel like I'm a very physical actor, and being able to move and like feel the words on the movement is very important. And I think that this is like a good way to like get that in there. And then also it really drills in that iambic pentameter.
Yeah, the rhythm of it.
And once you know it, you really start to be able to make choices with it. And then you start to notice little things like, for the life of me, I was trying to think of it earlier today because it would have been the monologue I had just done. But from Twelfth Night, from Sebastian, he says, this is the air, that is the glorious sun, this pearl she gave me, I see it and feel it. So somewhere in that monologue, his whole thing is he's like trying to convince himself that he's not like just lost his mind, right? So he's like, because everything's gone nuts. He was in a shipwreck, he crashes on this, he gets saved by his new pirate friend, and they're hanging out. He lands in this new place. He's got this new clothes. He's in a new place. Oh, also, that's the line. Antonio says a line to Sebastian about, like, surely you'll find some toy that you like. That was going to be this. I asked Catherine. I was like, Catherine, that's the toy. That's the toy he went and found. No dice on that.
Didn't work.
Didn't work. But, so he is trying to convince himself that he's still sane, still in his right mind.
Well, and it's a play where everybody is kind of out of their mind, out of place, out of time. So
yeah, it's very on theme in that way. And he has this really nice monologue where he's talking about all the physical senses that he has. Where he's like, I can see this and I can feel this. So if I have all these senses and I'm about myself in this way, then I must be fine. And then his thought changes. And then he says, but where is Antonio? Where is that guy that I've been with this whole time? If I'm in my right mind, then, like, did I get led here by a goat? Like, what do you mean? Like, where's this guy? I can't be sane. So he's just kind of in the conversation back with himself. Now, the line where that change happens, the change of thought is set, like the sentence break is in the middle of a foot. So in doing the yo exercise with this, and I can't remember the line, I should have found it. But in this exercise, you send it down and it stays down. And you have it like it stays down and it stays
it's one of the
spinning,
spin.
and it's there, and he has this moment of being like, it's fine. It's down and it's spinning and it's spinning and it's spinning. He has to think. And then, like, so that physicalization and that thinking about that change of thought and just it being so perfect that it is on that, break of iambic pentameter where that next syllable is going to be stressed is just so juicy. And I think that really sets itself up well in that way for that's, not a huge dramatic pause, but like a slight little dramatic pause in that. And that is a choice that I probably would not have come to as easily if I had
without the trusty yo-yo, and without
just that work in iambic pentameter, without doing that work and like having that foundational understanding of.
So is that what you each character that you play, kind of that idea, that focus on who they are and that understanding of their character as you see it through their language, through...
Absolutely. I think that's surely this is a really, really famous quote that only, I heard in school, and I won't attribute it to the right person, but it's just that, what I said about, Shakespearean characters is kind of cool just in the theater anyway, right? Like, there are a million of anyone that you get to play Pale and Burn This. You can get 10 of them, and everyone will do something different. But someone told me a long time ago, like, all you have is your experiences, and all you have is your thoughts and your mind, and those are the things that you're going to be able to bring to the table. So, like, those are the things that are going to make your character different. So yeah, like, you have to, it's about, like, their point of view in the best way that you can understand it.
Because I think it's interesting watching you on stage. It's one of those where, depending on who you're playing, I mean, actually, regardless of who you're playing, you bring this tone to the stage. When you played Laertes, like, there was this warmth that came with your character, especially when you were interacting with Ophelia. There was just kind of almost like a glow that emerged as you two kind of reacted to one another.
Sarah and I became so close. Sarah and I, we are working on, there's another, our day job. We work on, for a different theater in Oklahoma City, we work on an interactive tour doing The Sound of Music.
Oh,
and so, like, during that same rehearsal process for Hamlet, we were, like, in the mornings, we were doing The Sound of Music and then going to rehearsal. And she was playing my sister, so it was like, we became.
You're like, now we're actually siblings.
Yes, I adore Sarah. I attribute so much of that performance to, like, the work that she did, and then being able to give that back to her was phenomenal.
I do think that there was something about the relationship you had, but it wasn't just that, because it also came through in Macbeth. It also came through in Twelfth Night. It actually, in the other sense of it, came through in Much Ado, where there was, like, this almost, like, ominous aspect or tone to who you played. And it just seems like no matter which kind of character you're playing, you bring, essence sounds so corny, but
it's fine.
I'm struggling to find aura. Like, I'm struggling to find a better word.
Vibe.
Yes, that's the word. You harness the vibe.
Sure. Harnessing the vibe. That's what I'm really all about, honestly. But yeah, like, that's honestly, that's so kind to say.
I mean, I don't know that it's kind. I find it fascinating. I find it so interesting to watch you come out on stage, and I'm like, oh, here's the glow, like,
right.
And I want to, like, understand where that comes from, because I don't see it very often. It's not something where I'm like, oh, like, every actor has this. It's a normal thing. It's not. I have seen it, but I feel like your consistency, and maybe it is the language, maybe it is the physicality you bring to it, where it's almost like a full body, immersing into the role. I don't know.
Another thing that I have on other actors is that I've got a really big mouth. And so, like, that is, like, true, and it's so true. Actually, here's a fun tidbit story. I was in a one-act production. I never did one act in high school, but I did 1 year as a favor to my drama teacher, because she couldn't find anyone else. But it was Wait Until Dark.
Oh yeah, I do.
Am I crazy? Okay, so it's that one. It was the play version, the one-act play version, and I was the husband that leaves at the very beginning and then never comes back, and then his wife is, like, burglarized for the next 30 minutes. But we get off stage, and one of the people that was on the run crew I'm talking to them after the show, and I didn't go out to really talk to anyone because, you know, no one came to see me because I was on stage for 20 seconds. And one of the girls was like, yeah, I just talked to my mom. She said your mouth like really freaked her out. It's like 16, cool 16 years old. Again, like another like, it's crazy to be told that when you're 16. It's crazy to be called ugly when you're in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
But no. But like it became like a thing like later on, like in college. Again, like when I started to really be able to use my instrument better. That became something that like one of my, again, Dr. Judith Midget-Pender, she told me all the time. She was like, your lips, your mouth, like really warm up your mouth and like really be able to use this because like you're going to be able to make like weird noises and like weird sounds and you're going to be able to like really push some of these things that like, I don't know, like it's going to be like a toolbox. So I said that in the beginning kind of as a joke, but like I think that may be potentially a part of it.
I love that. I think that's really interesting. Use what you got, people. Whatever you got, use it.
Don't fix it, feature it.
I love it. That's the title. That's the title. You found our title for us. Don't fix it, feature it.
But I think that is probably like the main part of it. Is just I don't know. I don't know what I would attribute to the glow. I think that I'm really happy that you saw. I think what I meant with the kind earlier is that I'm really happy that you saw the warmness in Laertes. That was something that I really wanted to come across with him because I think that he's a very warm and sympathetic character. Something I jokingly said it backstage a lot. I was like, Laertes is right. And like, I think that to an extent, I think you always need to believe or not believe, but you need to understand what your character thinks. Not to always think that they're right, but you need to get why they think they're right.
Right. Maybe not think Macbeth is right.
But like you need to get it. You need to be able to wrap your mind around that. But with him, I felt for him so much, and so like that is sweet.
He was but okay. So you brought up the ugly thing, the big mouth thing. I gotta go with it because I think it's interesting. You're putting yourself out there, being an actor, putting yourself out on stage. Under, you know, not just the audience, critics, etc. It's not an easy feat. It is not an easy thing to put yourself out there. So what are some of the things that you have, because I'm sure in 8th grade, like the whole ugly thing and that, I mean, I'm sure it was hopefully said jokingly, kids can be jerks though, so who knows?
I don't think anyone that like wasn't my friend was saying it, but there was a point, I do remember a day where I had to be like, okay guys.
And we're done. Like,
play was 3 months ago. We should stop doing the ugly thing.
It's losing its context, okay? So how do you deal with some of that? How do you deal with the critiques or the, you know, sometimes people just being jerks because let's be real, it happens.
You know, so it's hard, right? Because like everyone has a very interesting relationship with embarrassment, right? And I think, I don't know, you know, it sounds, I keep bringing up the training, you know, but like, I remember coming home from school for like Thanksgiving at a certain point and having like this distinct feeling of like being, to an extent, immune from embarrassment anymore. Like I remember feeling like and like those exact words too. Like I remember coming home and feeling like I'm embarrassment proof. Like these things that like used to be able to get to me now don't, because like I feel like I have been in the absolute worst case scenario and like not like that.
I've gotten through it.
Yeah. Like do you ever have, I have a technique that I actually use. Do you want to hear about the worst day ever?
Yeah.
So like I have a technique when I start to feel nervous about things, and shout out to Kyle Kruchmer. He's a real guy. I'm pretty sure I don't know if he's still the champion or like runner-up champion. He used to be like at 195, whatever weight class he was at, like the Bellator champion, which is like UFC light. He is a like national champion wrestler from Oklahoma State University, like several zillion time national champion like kid wrestler, and I wrestled him when I was like 13 or 14 and he was like 18 years old, and I wrestled him when I was younger, and I'm wearing a singlet like nothing, and this like grown man is like throwing me down and like physically abusing me for like 5 minutes. And like there's a rule in wrestling where like if you can score more than 15 points than the other person, then like you just win. And so
the mercy rule.
It's called a technical fall, and he did that. So he was just like taking me down and letting me back up because he knew that he could win because I was terrible. So I so still like when I get nervous, I think about like, no matter how bad this goes, this could not possibly go as bad as wrestling Kyle Kruchmer that day. There's no shot. He's not even here. He can that's fine. So like, you know, and like in a more serious way, I think that you know, that kind of stuff, getting up and, you know, the performance of it all, getting up in front of people, and you know, it is very vulnerable. You know, I talked about Laertes just a moment ago. I really felt like that was kind of a breakthrough moment for me in my acting, because I was so able to connect with him in those moments of, you know, feeling with his sister, and it was really huge. Lost my train of thought.
No, it's not.
Oh no, but so, with that, performance, like having these, you know, these things, you learn to do it. Like it goes away in time, like that, and those jitters and like that fear of like, what if something goes wrong? Because like things have gone pretty wrong. Like if you guys saw Hamlet, you guys saw, I might have seen a few Easter eggs, a few of those performances of Hamlet that went awry. So there are still things that like happen, and things that are, you know, it's hard to perform in front of people. It's hard to be this vulnerable, to have that deep emotional connection with and in front of people, but it makes it really worth it when it works. So, you know, it's very high risk, but it's very high reward, because you can fall really flat on your face when you're like trying to look emotional, or you're trying to look serious,
right?
Or you're trying to be funny. That's the worst thing in the world, when you're trying to do something that's funny, when you're saying words that you know in context are funny, and you say them and no one laughs. And
that's why I say the hardest role is a clown.
Yeah.
Like, it is not easy to be a clown.
No. And so yeah, like it is really difficult. But it's like, I heard an analogy when I was a little kid that was like, I think the analogy was about guilt, but like I think the same thing works for like stage fright, for lack of a better word. Is it's like a triangle that is in your brain, and it's really sharp. And it's when you start to feel nervous about getting up in front of people or feeling that embarrassment, it starts spinning. And after a while, it becomes dull, because like it's been spinning for so long that the edge on it is gone.
Yeah.
So there's just a disc that's spinning in your brain. And I think about that a lot. I think about, now I can, because it's still there. Like that nerve, that energy is still there, but it's just a rotation. And now it is just this energy that becomes free to use and free to put into this character and whatever I'm doing. And that is, you know, a necessity when you're doing something like Laertes, when he, you know, busts in and he has to, you know, point. I had a machete on stage. That was crazy. when you pop in and you have to do that, that has to come from somewhere, and that's where that energy comes.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I think it's so interesting because I think it applies to so much of life, both on and off the stage. Mm-hmm. Just the idea of getting past, maybe finding your most embarrassing moment. I've got a few I could choose from. I'll have to decide which one's my best. But and then kind of going back and be like, all right, can't even compare, let it go. Like,
find your Kyle Kruchmer.
Yes.
And nothing could possibly be worse than that. Find your nothing could be worse than this day. And then truly, like, I really, jokes aside, folks at home, I really do recommend that. Like, I know that it may sound crazy and silly, but the nothing could possibly be worse than that exercise, I think, is very worthwhile.
Oh my gosh, I do too. That's my exercise. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll let you all know when I figure out what my nothing can be worse than. I just feel like there's so many options.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll come up with something. Mm-hmm. So, I've seen you in so many great roles. I can't wait to see you in many more great roles. Mm-hmm. Do you have a dream role? Is there something out there that you...
I don't know. I would really like to play, I did the monologue for him earlier, Berowne in Love's Labour's Lost. I think that Love's Labour's Lost, might be my favorite of the Shakespeare comedies, and that may just be me being like, I'm different, but like, I'm not like the other girls. But like, I love, yeah, Jimmy thought that one was funny. I love that one because like people don't like do that one. People don't think, I don't know why it's not like as popular as A Midsummer Night's Dream. Honestly, I think it's just as funny.
I'm trying to figure out who we were talking to who also loved it. Was it Alyssa?
I wouldn't put it past her. That's one of my favorites. And that was the first Shakespeare that I got to do at the University of Oklahoma. It was directed by Paul Barnes, a terrific director. He was a guest director. He's not at OU. And yeah, there was a guy that was playing Berowne. His name is Tommy Graham. Shout out Tommy Graham. A lot of shout outs in this episode.
I'll tag them all.
Yeah, right. But Tommy Graham, he was playing Berowne, and he had also just played Romeo in Romeo and Juliet that I had gotten to see. And I remember, honestly, like for real, like just being really inspired by his work at like an early age. Like that, I was such a baby artist at that point, and like I remember just being like, whoa, this guy is really good, and I want to be like that when I get older. And yeah, Berowne in Love's Labour's Lost. So
awesome.
if we have any sway, if we have any strings to pull here in the Shrew-universe.
I was gonna say, we'll have to take that into account and see what happens. But yeah. I've heard that name has come up, that title has come up quite a few times. So I fully support this idea.
Maybe we'll direct it.
Oh God, help us all. The Shakespearean Shrew version. Oh boy.
This is a perfect idea.
Okay, so it might be the same, it might be different, but favorite line, favorite character, favorite play.
Okay, favorite line.
And I'm gonna try to yo-yo, but this might be my moment of shame. So I don't remember the last time I've used a yo-yo.
I will say that I think my favorite character is probably Berowne. I'll give him that one because I think that his predicament, and I'm working backwards to get to favorite line because I can't think of one yet. But I think that his predicament is just so funny. For those of you who don't know the plot of whatever Love's Labour's Lost is that four guys are basically just like, we're not gonna fall in love and we're not gonna party. We're just gonna devote ourselves to our studies for 3 years or 1 year.
I want to say it's 3 actually, and then
they immediately fall in love. Like all 4 of them just immediately fall in love, and to me it is so funny. So I just think that it's such a funny predicament. And then that monologue that I was doing earlier, he's like really upset that he's in love because he's like, I gotta keep this from my boys. They're gonna be so disappointed, but they all did the same thing. My favorite play. Yeah, I know. I've been singing the praises of Love's Labour's Lost, but I think that my favorite play is Macbeth, because it was my favorite play when I read it when I was a senior in high school, because I thought it was so spooky and so cool. And like we talked about earlier with the buckets of blood, it has obviously been
it's seared into his heart after the buckets of blood.
Like a large source of inspiration to me throughout my life. So I really love the Scottish play. One of my personal favorites. Gotten to do that one twice here at Oklahoma Shakespeare, so very fortunate. And my favorite line. Oh, you know what my favorite line is? I just remembered. It's Puck. Puck has a line, and this means nothing to most people, but in our production, it was when I was climbing up the ladder for like the 15th time in the play. But all of the lovers are just about to re-enter the grove at the same time, and Puck is talking about, kind of finding a lot of delight in how much of a mess they have made of like this little situation of what's going on here. And Oberon is like, hey dude, focus for 1 second. Like, I know that like this is funny, but like you gotta come with me here. And so like he comes over, and I don't remember exactly how Puck says it, but the line is just like, the things that do best please me are the things that fall out preposterously. And I highlighted that, and I wrote that down like all over all of my things, because I just thought that was so sweet and so fun to just be like, the things that do most pleaseth me, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds right, but it's just like, the things that do best pleaseth me are the things that fall out preposterously. It just made me
It is a beautiful line to kind of sum up this shit show that is life.
Yeah. And just to like, I don't know, to start to revel in the craziness of it all, and just to like to live your life and be like, this is gonna be nuts, and like things are going to fall out preposterously, so I should learn to take joy in them. Like, the things that go crazy and like in this like crazy life oftentimes are like the times that I'm having the most fun.
Yes.
Where you're like, I'm running around, I have rehearsal, I have like a billion things, I gotta go to my friend's stupid party later, but it's like, those are the days that you're like, wow, I'm like living and I'm having so much fun, are the days where things are falling out preposterously and like you're barely making it, you're flying by the seat of your pants,
Oh, that's my day today. All right, everybody, our job is to embrace the shit show, to find our most horrific moments so that nothing else can compare, we'll never feel embarrassment again, and to embrace the shit show that is life. All right, so let's see how this goes.
Let's do it.
Can
I give you one hint,
yes.
one pro tip? Okay, so make a loop.
Okay.
With like the string like that, and then like pull it through, and then wrap your finger around that so that you can pull it tight around your finger.
So like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, no.
No. It's perfect. It's almost there.
I'm bringing shame to the family. All right. I'm gonna work on it by next episode, maybe. Well, yeah, by my next episode, maybe I'll have this better. That got shame to the family. All right,
maybe
everybody.
Someday I'll come back and we'll have a yo-yo contest.
Yes, and by then I'll be better.
Yeah.
Why doesn't this even want to roll up? This is just like in circles.
It is true. It's hard to have.
I broke my yo-yo.
It's hard to have your first experience with the yo-yo on camera.
Oh man. All right. Well. I can't even say it was my first, and it's just my first one since I was like 15. So, what is that, 25 years? Oh dear God in heaven. Okay, well on that note, let us know what you want to hear about next. It's been so much fun talking to you. Thank you so much. We will have you back soon because it's been just a delight. Everybody else, just remember, all the world's a stage, and you too can be a shrew. Bye.